Hi there! Today I have the pleasure to talk with some special guests. Professor Piotr Kuropka from the Faculty of Veterinary Medicine and the fourth year student Rosie have joined me today. So it's good to have you here. And many of those who plan to study veterinary medicine wonder how exactly it looks to study in this field and what one should expect from the program. So today we will talk more about that. So I would like to know the general breakdown of the program, like what can you expect during the first years and later on. Could you say something more about that?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so I'm going first. So the first year is boring because technically a little bit of animals, but they are dead actually.
Yeah, mostly anatomy.
Mostly anatomy.
Yeah.
So you can't expect not fun, but the things which brings you closer to the veterinary. There is lots of basic sciences, including biophysics, which sounds again horrible, and chemistry, but this is necessary to proceed to go higher and higher. However, when you have already bacteriology or virology, you sense, it's closer to the preclinical or clinical things. However, still you don't have a real one contact directly with the patients, with the doctor and their owners, or the horses are their own owners. And gradually you get more and more information, and then there is a time when you can first enter the clinics and then start to do your own activities. And everything depends on you, actually.
Yeah, I think like most vet courses, it's structured in kind of like a building block way. So you start off with basic sciences and then you move on to kind of clinical sciences like immunology, which you can kind of begin to apply to the veterinary field. And then you get your actual clinical classes with live animals and everyone goes, oh my goodness, I actually get to see a dog and a cow. And then, in your final years, you're learning practical skills that you need to know to work as a vet. And, so you build up throughout the course and you learn your skills, and it's really important. You might think, chemistry, we did that at the beginning, that's not important. But there's some things that you still need to know, biochemistry later on. And then when you do further on subjects like pharmacology, you need to remember back everything that you've learned.
So it's more like building foundation, and then you can just build on that. Yeah. And you have also internships, right, during the program. But it's, as far as I know, it's also like later on during the program.
So it's the final 2 semesters you have your internships. But you also have like externships when you're, when you're at home in the summers and you're doing your placements at the vet clinics or the slaughterhouse or wherever you go, or at the farm as well, when you're in summer of second year. So, you have placements out with the university, but then also when you're at the end of the course, you do them at the uni clinics.
Yeah, I know that you also learn some maybe additional subjects, like you have Polish classes, you have Latin. It's everything during the first year, right?
Economy, agronomy.
Yeah.
Statistics and other things. But again, that's the part of your education. So actually, we call this is a university. So actually, you cannot expect only the education which creates from the student only the technician, which works with animals, which you have a book to veterinary. Actually, there is one. But generally, you have the book. Okay, I have this one, so this is the solution. It's not working like that. You have to have more wide education than just narrow one, focused on only one thing. Because generally, it's not working like that. It's better to have, in my opinion, the education which includes also, I'm sorry for that, philosophy. I'm still a great enthusiast of studying philosophy, because without that, the question is who we are or what we are. This changes everything. So sorry for that again from my faculty, that you have to study such things, but I strongly believe that one day you can use it, or you'll know where to search for that. So that's the point.
Yeah. I think, sometimes you kind of especially when you're in the first few years, you're like, why am I doing this subject? What's the importance of it? And you just don't see it at the time. So hopefully, even now I'm still thinking that. So hopefully in the future I'll be like, oh, right, learning whatever in biophysics or learning whatever in agronomy is going to come in handy. Fingers crossed.
Yeah. What about like the general equipment you need to have during the studies? Do you need to buy many books? Like you have like huge list of books you have to read, you have to buy. And in terms of tools or clothing, like how one should prepare for?
Well, right from the beginning, you have anatomy labs. So you've got to get yourself, a white coat, nitrile gloves, and a scalpel as well is useful as well.
Sorry to interrupt. Not white coat, lab coat.
Lab coat, sorry.
Lab coat is not necessarily white one. Okay, so some in some cases they claim it must be a white one. Okay,
oh, really?
But in many cases, especially on the clinics, we are not using the white coats anymore. Actually, so.
Yeah.
So actually not the white one. But what is important, you don't have to bring it with you. You can buy it in spot, in the place.
There's, like medical shops and everything, so you can buy it over here.
And you don't have to buy everything for the first year, okay? I mean, which one topic course is going to give you information, what you need. So you don't have to buy microscopes, okay? So because we have this equipment. This is not funny because in the United States, in some places, you have to buy your own microscope. It was, I have no idea how it is right now, but it's happened that in some university it is recommended to have and carry your own microscope. So this is the difference. So don't buy too many things in advance, okay? Because sometimes they will be used in 2 or 3 years. So in the future, not now. So there is no sense to have them. When you ask about the books, again, different situation in different departments, because I prefer to present all the necessary information for students directly, so they don't need to buy the books, because I'm preparing the shortcut, you can say, and this is free accessible for them. The others, they require the book, however you can use our library. Actually, you don't have to buy them, or you can re-buy it, so retake it from another one person from the upper. So lots of possibilities to use the books, and generally the recommendation for the books are placed on the website. So actually all this data and or information are in the curriculum, so they are there placed. So
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's good to have books for subjects like anatomy and like physiology and immunology, where you either need to kind of look at the diagrams or where you need to understand concepts that maybe the teacher doesn't explain well. But for a lot of subjects like histology, the professor tells you everything you need to know, and they're not going to make a test and ask you things that they haven't taught you. So for the most part, it will be on the presentations. But in some subjects, they don't actually send the presentations, such as infectious diseases we're doing right now. Instead, they give us loads of articles, loads of scientific articles. So, there's different ways of learning, and different textbooks can be helpful. It depends on how you learn as a student. So, yeah.
Yeah. It's good that you don't have to buy a lot of books, like
at
the beginning. Yeah, they are quite expensive as well. So
definitely buy secondhand. Do not buy a new textbook. And a lot of older students as well, as they graduate, they're selling down, or once they passed, a subject, they'll sell their textbook down. So definitely buy secondhand textbooks.
Yeah, and in terms of organization of the groups, like how large the groups are, and is it possible to actually have the access to animals when you are like in the group? Are there many people there?
Well, Polish division is much bigger, but English division, I think our year has 20 something, and I think the younger years are, close to 30 people in a year. So, the bigger the year group, the more lab groups there will be. So our year has 2 lab groups, and in younger years they have 3 lab groups, and each lab group's, no more than 15 people in a group. You've got to keep it small, hands-on, so everyone gets a chance to do the practical stuff.
Okay, so according to our regulations, so the group shouldn't exceed the 16 person. So this is the largest possible group you may have, and gradually year after year, because a few years ago we have something like 20% in the groups. Now it's impossible. So the number of students in the groups is reduced. In case of English division, usually it's not exceeding the 12 person in the group. Usually, even on the first year. Of course, some students want to change the groups. We allow for that. But what is important in case of clinics, you work in smaller groups. So if group is composed of, let's say, 12 person, on the clinics it will be 6 only. So because that's the reason to have access to the animal. Also on anatomy, students are divided into the smaller groups to work because it's impossible to perform dissection like 20% for one dog. So the groups are not that big. Okay, so generally, and I hope that reduction will be so we'll continue, because 12 person in the group is okay from my point of view, but 10 is better.
Oh yeah.
It's always, but 16 is much. It's too much for sure. So as I said, generally right now, not more than 12 person in the group, so it's good. It's a very good ratio.
Yeah, it's important that everyone has the same access to all those like hands-on experience and like,
and also what is important, the access to the teacher, to the tutor.
Yeah.
That you can talk to him, that you can ask him. In my case, I'm trying to control students what they are doing. So when I have to control 12 person, what they are looking at the microscope, it's easier than 16 or 20, because you have to have a seat, look hard, and so on, and so it takes a time. So that's the point.
So I think you mentioned before, Rosie, like when do the classes with real animals start? Like you shouldn't expect it from the beginning that you will work with like dogs and cats, but you have to wait a while.
So I mean, my experience was a bit different because of COVID and everything, because you know there's subjects like animal breeding, animal technologies. I don't know if there was a farm trip as part of those, but we didn't get that due to just, everything was being online. But in third year, you start clinical diagnostics, which, you do things like clinical hands-on examination of animals. So you get to, learn how to do that with real dogs and cows and everything. So it's really handy. And then, in our current year, in fourth year, we have reproduction classes where you go to the university farm in Svoyets and you do rectals, which is, that's an experience. But yeah, it's, for the first few years, it's only really dissections that you do. I think it'd be good if we had an animal handling class or something at the beginning, but we don't right now. Maybe for the future.
What can I say? The students from the first year usually bring with them some animals.
Yeah, there's always someone.
I won't say that, especially from the Ireland, but also from Norway and so on. In the beginning, we had some students which bring here their horses, and they kept them somewhere in the suburbs of the road. So, what was possible, as you see, so they were in the contact with their animals actually, and actually, if you try to be in contact with someone on the clinics, complicated, but technically you could try to start earlier, individually do something, but generally, if you are not experienced or prepared for that, the doctors refuse such help, because it's,
you don't want to get in the way. Exactly.
So that's the point. Again, I'm sorry for this.
Yeah, is it possible to help at university clinics at some point?
I mean, when you're in the younger years, I don't know if they would let you as much, but as you get kind of more through the course, I think I personally haven't, but if you speak to the people that work at the uni clinic, they might let you. And when you're doing your clinical internships, you'll already be there. But when you're in, 4th, 5th year, I think there's an opportunity to. You just need to speak to them. See if they let you.
Exactly. Speak. ask when I was student, and everybody knew that I'm gonna to be a histologist, but they never refused me to do something or to help to stay longer for the in the clinics to help and so on and so. There was no problem. Of course, the problem arises with the number of students, but as I said, as Rosie said, if you ask and they will need it, no problem at all. So actually, this is not closed for the students. It's not insulated. It's not like that. It shouldn't work like that.
Yeah, just one of those opportunities you have to go out and seek rather than it being offered to you. You know.
Yeah, exactly. There are no vets which are standing outside of the clinic. Hey, student, come to me. Help! It's not working like that. But yeah, if you propose that you will carry the horse or some extra activities after your normal classes, absolutely you are welcome to do it.
Good. And is it compulsory to attend all the classes?
Well, for labs, generally you're allowed like 1 or 2 absences, depends on the professor. But for lectures, most of them are just, you don't need to go, but obviously you'd want to go because if you miss a lecture, you'd be having to catch up on those, and so you should go to all your classes if you can.
Technically, both lectures and labs are obligatory. So technically, yes, you also should be present. However, some of the teachers, they don't pay attention to that. Some of they promise some advantages at the end, like the better grade or something like that. It's different, but indeed, yes. I'm sorry. Well, I'm not sorry. It's obligatory, so you have to attend all the classes, regardless you are interested or not interested in. And this is again important. We were talking previously about this. Well, you must get education. Perhaps today you don't understand what for, but in the future, then you can discover
that was needed. Exactly,
or useful. So therefore, I'm not sorry. Not anymore. I'm not sorry. This is obligatory.
Yeah. And how do the exams look, like in terms of form and frequency?
So a lot of subjects have partial tests throughout the semester, so you can have 2, 3, 4 partials, and the rule for most partials is you've got to get like a positive average grade from these partials to be allowed to sit the final. But obviously every subject's different. Every subject professor has their own rules, and then in terms of finals, if it's an important like a sequential subject, it'll have an exam in the exam period, which is at the end of the semester. But yeah, other subjects have tests all throughout the semester.
Well, yes, but the question is, in some cases you have that the partial tests are for the labs, so the practical part of your activities, because you have, we can say, in blocks, so like the swine diseases or husbandry of the swine, then you have the calf diseases or husbandry, and then it's actually then you have the small test. The lectures generally, this is final, so like at the end of the semester only one test, and how they look depends on the tutor. Some prefer tests, the different types of the test. Some of them prefer this test in person. Some of them prefer on the web page. So when we are online, so it's absolutely necessary to do it online actually. So depends on. In only some cases we have still some oral exams. It's really reduced to the minimum because actually it's again for both sides it's better to do it that way. So test.
Yeah, there's a lot of tests. I think something compared to the vet schools back home, because I was comparing with a friend who studies in Liverpool. A lot of UK vet schools have exams at the end of the semester. They don't have any tests throughout the semester, whereas we have the whole time. There is no exam week because every week's exam week. So you've always got to stay on top of it. But I kind of like that because it keeps you motivated. You know, you can't take a couple of weeks off without, you know, you've got to always be on the ball.
So you are disciplined to study.
Yeah, exactly.
And it works. It works because, you know, when you have like anatomy one semester and you are off, you don't have any test, partial test, and then suddenly at the end you have to have this test, then you see look at the sea actually, and you try how to drink this entire the water from the sea. It's impossible. If you do it in smaller parts, it's easier. And as Rosie said, keeps you ready for everything actually.
But then sometimes it can build up though, and then that's when it gets too stressful.
No time for partying, that's the problem.
No time to party, absolutely not.
Yeah, and what happens if you fail an exam?
So generally, the professor will let you take a repeat, maybe even 2 or 3. Sometimes professors let you take as many as you can. You know, they want you to pass. The professors don't. You know, they want you to pass. They want to help you out. They're not there to just go, yeah, you fail, no more chances. Like they'll give you as many chances as they can. But
if finally you can't pass it, then you have retake this course for next year. So you have to repeat the semester for this one precise. Topic like
so if it's a major subject,
and of course we have the majors, a very important one, and some less important, which you can continue your studies and then next year to finish this one smaller one, you can say. But
like if you fail biophysics in first year, that doesn't, it's not going to hold you back. You can still go into second year and then just do it again the next year.
Or a smaller one, okay.
Or a smaller one, biophysics, that's small,
Biophysics sounds to be serious one.
Oh dear.
Yeah, and in terms of internships, what internships can you expect during the program?
So once you get into older years, they're split according to species. So you have your farm animals, you have your horses, and then you have your small animals. So you have your clinical internships. First of all, you have your diseases, your blocks of diseases. So right now we're doing farm animal diseases, and that's split into smaller subjects like reproduction and internal. And then you get on to, in the final 2 semesters, you do your clinical internships in those animals. So you actually work at the uni clinic. And then also in the summer you have your externships. So you're doing not at the university, but you're still doing something for the university. It counts as a grade you get at the end of it, kind of thing.
And you have to do those internships necessarily in Wrocław, right? You can just choose the place.
Anywhere. So most of us do it, when we're at home, or we go, you can go anywhere. It's like asking for work experience. Just ask the farmer or ask the vet, say, hey, can you take me on for 2 weeks? Can you sign it off when I'm done? It's as easy as that. So.
And most of them, they are farm children, so actually it's another problem. They have sometimes more experience working with animals, large animals or small one, than Polish students for sure. But yes, exactly. Lots of possibilities how to improve your knowledge, and especially the practical parts of this one real one, working as a vet.
And I find it really helpful for learning practical skills more so than at university, because you're one-on-one, you can ask a million questions, and don't worry, I ask a million questions, so you really get to learn, get the most from it. So yeah, I definitely like them.
Yeah, and many candidates, they ask us if they can choose a particular path in the program, that they can focus only on certain species or certain fields. How does it work?
Of course they can focus on only one animal species. However, they will have to pass all the other courses equally. The problem is, imagine that someone declared that he wants to study only horses and he wants to be a perfect vet of equine medicine, but suddenly on the farm there is a dog with, let's say, accidents. It's going what to say? Oh no, it's a dog. I'm not focused on the dogs. Let's go to something else. No, you need to have, as I said, more wide education, but of course you can specialize in the specific species, but you have to be at minimum knowledge about the other species. you don't have to really have the skills to perform surgery on the pigs, but or work in the slaughterhouse. But generally, you have any imagination how it works, especially if someone will ask you about this or you will talk in private. So it's not I'm a specialist in only this one small part. You know, Rosie?
Yeah, no, I mean, when you graduate, you're not a specific kind of vet, you're just a general veterinarian. So you've got to have that kind of starting knowledge. And then, you know, if you want to specialize straight after graduation, you can, no one's stopping you. But, you know, while you're still in vet school, you have to pass everything. But actually, they have electives here. So, for example, I chose hippatry, which is you know, all about horses and horse anatomy, because I find equine medicine interesting, whereas other people chose subjects like neonatology or you know, the mycology was an option as well. So, you know, it's really electives give you the chance to kind of specialize a bit more in what you like.
Exactly, to enlarge your knowledge about this specific species you want to in the future specialize. So this is the reason. So you have the obligatory courses and you have also the facultative. So it's you decide actually. There is however I don't know, is there limitation in number of faculties?
In terms of how many?
Yeah, how many you can take them for one semester?
I think so. I think this semester, because this was our first time getting the option to do electives, we were only allowed to choose one, I think. But, you know, I've heard of people doing more. So, you know, it's if you really want to, you can do, you know, however many you want.
Yeah, great. And if someone is considering the career of becoming a veterinarian, like how should he or she know that this career is for him or her?
Well, if you're considering coming all the way to Poland to study veterinary abroad, chances are you're dedicated enough to do veterinary. I just say get as much practical experience as you can, you know, farms, vet clinics, even, you know, slaughterhouses and stuff. But that's not necessary. I mean, it's good to have an understanding, but you do that once you're in the course. So just, you know, go to as many clinics and everything as you can. I remember, you know, my summers before I came here, I packed them full of vet clinics. You know, I was at the vets every week, you know, trying to get as much experience as I can. So it's really good to kind of see as many cases as you can and go, ooh, this is really interesting. I think I might want to be this kind of vet. You know, you get that motivation, you get kind of ideas.
There is plenty of reasons why people decide to become a vet, because of different possibilities to have some specific professions in all of this. So therefore, it's very hard to say, are you prepared or are you dedicated to this or not? So actually, it's hard to say. It's first you say I love animals, I hate people. It's work with the owners actually. So you can't work only with animals. It's, so it's not like that. I want to help animals. It's okay, but sometimes to help them we have to do something like surgery or do some things which are inconvenient for the animals. So it looks from outside, it looks bad, but on the other side, it's to help it. So we must accept such things, be aware of this. As I said, lots of possibilities, including work in administration. Yes, exactly. You can work as the border guard for the veterinarian inspection. Also, you can work in the labs for the army if you really want, if it's possible. You can have such different path for your future career. It's absolutely not reduced only to be an owner of small or bigger practice or clinic and work with one or the second type of animals only. Also, you can start your scientific careers. So you can
go into pharmaceuticals, go into the industry.
Exactly. You can do plenty of things. And everything, what is important to understand, you obtain from us education, as I said, wide, not narrow. And therefore, you can do plenty of things. It depends on you. And sometimes you can change during your studies your attitude or your vision for your future. This is really. I did it on the second year actually, so because I had histology at those times, and that's what changes me. It doesn't mean that I stopped to study, or I was not anymore interested in some specific topics. No, I continued the education. So actually everything what you can imagine, but biology. Okay.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I asked this question also because there were people who were actually shocked that during the veterinary medicine program they had to do the internship in slaughterhouses because they did not have this, idea that actually veterinarians work there.
Exactly. Like when you go into vet school, I remember we were told this at the very, very beginning of the course. They said, look, most of you probably want to go and be clinicians, and that's fine, but just, there's so much more. Slaughter industry is a big, big thing. We have 3 semesters of slaughter animals and meat hygiene as a subject. There's so much.
Including milk hygiene also.
And milk hygiene as well,
yeah. So this is part of our job. This is part. My old department, because we moved at some moment, there was a sentence written on the wall that by the welfare of animals to the welfare of humans. And so we work with animals, but for humans. And so therefore we do what we do.
Yeah, there's so much you can do with the vet degree. Like it's one of the most versatile degrees you can have. You can do so much more than people would think. Did you know the head of Pfizer is actually a vet? So there you go. That just goes to show.
Exactly.
You can do anything.
Also work for pharmacy. So many of my colleagues, they ended not as a seller, but they work in the labs, so in the facilities to establish new vaccines or other things. So just you decide. You have your profession.
Go in any direction you want.
Exactly. And what suits you at the best. Once you will be here, don't hesitate to ask to enter into the interaction with your tutors, with your teachers. Most of us we are really friendly, and our attitude is very positive towards you, understanding that you are in a foreign country. Sometimes the culture may be a bit difficult or different for you. Wrocław is a beautiful city because I was born here, so that is the first reason, but generally it's a very nice place and good place for studying also, so welcome.
Yeah, great. It was great to have you here. Thank you very much for coming, and definitely it gave us more insight into the program, and you are experiencing that every day, so you know the best.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for listening. Yeah, if you have any questions, just contact us, and hope you enjoyed this episode. So see you next time.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you.